Okay, so I'm looking at a website here that talks about paragraph structure, and it has some good examples for us. So this is from a study support or academic skills website, and it's a guide to paragraph structure. They start off by talking about introduction paragraphs, which we're not concerned about today. So I'm just going to skip through the introduction stuff. What we're going to talk about is the body paragraphs of the essay. So there's some information here about the body paragraphs, and then they have some examples. The examples are color-coded. So remember that the topic sentence is going to be our first sentence. We're going to provide some supporting evidence. And they do remind you that all of your evidence needs to have citations. And then finally, we're going to have analysis. So it's TEA. They are also including a conclusion sentence to wrap up the paragraph, just like a conclusion does in an essay. So let's look at this paragraph. Everything's color-coded here. And I'll read through the paragraph once to make sure we understand it. It says, despite the focus on hard skills, it appears that the biggest benefit of going to university is not necessarily what you learn, but the people you meet there and the networks that you create. Although graduates often list discipline-oriented goals when asked what their main reason is for enrolling at the university, ultimately, many graduates go on to careers and professions unrelated to their degree program. So what kind of transferable skills do students carry over from their study into their career? Rasevich suggests that the key relationships and networks created by students at university provide useful contacts for the future. This also assists in the development of interpersonal communication skills that are sought by employers. Student proficiency in a range of digital skills that facilitate online academic, professional, and social networks are also important elements in the bigger picture of graduate communication skills. Okay, so the topic that we're looking at is not hard skills, not the things you learn about your subject, but more soft skills, which is generally the things you learn about people, getting along with people, collaborating, working together. So the topic of this, I think, is something to do with the networks that you're creating at school and how important they are. They provided some evidence, which has some citation here, and they're talking about the reason people enroll is usually to get a degree, but many people end up with a job or a career that is not in their field. So if they're not learning those hard skills, what are they learning? The analysis here explains it. The analysis says, so what kind of transferable skills do students carry over? We've got this evidence that's a little bit murky, and I can understand what it means on the surface, but I'm not sure how it relates back to the networks that people create. This question, this rhetorical question, is going to elaborate on that for me. The next piece of evidence says that key relationships and networks provide useful contacts for the future. This explains how the people you meet are important. So this is key evidence about the people you meet. The analysis is going to explain why that's important. This also assists in the development of interpersonal skills sought by employers. So we have some evidence and then an explanation of the evidence. Some evidence and an explanation of the evidence. They've ended it here by reminding us that we have academic, professional, and social networks that are important. Okay, so you can look through this again and you can see all of these in action. Here's another example, and they're just using the TEA. Social interaction is one of the fundamental principles of social constructivist theory. In philosophy, language is regarded as a social process where people are engaged in social practices. So I think this is going to be about learning. Let's see if our evidence has to do with learning or language. It says, Vygotsky argues that with the help of peer and other mentors, learners develop concepts and ideas that they can go on to understand independently. So this has to do with learning and how social interaction is important with learning. That was my statement. Here's my proof. The analysis says, in addition, student social interactions with other students, academics, and other individuals outside the university are major influences on the individual development of knowledge construction. So knowledge construction is another word for learning, and we're explaining how this evidence relates back to our topic. I like that they've used this transition in other words. That's an excellent way to approach analysis, is using in other words. There's another example down here, and this one starts with therefore, so we can see that we are building off of this idea and explaining it in our own words. So I think they go on to concluding the essay after that. So I'm going to provide you a link to this website so that you can look at these examples in detail. To find this example, I just did a simple search for paragraph structures. I skipped the ones that say ad or advertisement at the beginning, because those are usually, they usually pay to be at the beginning, or they may be sponsored by somebody. And I skipped down, and I'm looking specifically for ones that are by websites that I know, or perhaps ones that end in edu or mention writing in the topic. And these are a few good ones that I found. This one is from a university, and it is from their Canvas site. Canvas is a learning platform just like Blackboard. And it's about paragraph structure. I like this one because they have included another example that's all color-coded. So if you want to see an additional example, that's there. Another site, oh, that's the site that we already looked at. Another site here is, who is this from? This is from a university in Sydney, Australia. This one I like because it's a really clear explanation of paragraph structure, and then they have these tips for effective writing. And I always like it when they have clear tips. The final one is from a university in New Zealand, and they have used a different acronym. They've used point, illustration, and explanation. So their acronym is PIE instead of ours, which is TEA. But it's, again, an example of what the point or topic sentence is going to be, the illustration or evidence, and then the explanation. So I'll link you to all of these sites, but you can certainly do additional research on your own if you're still having trouble with paragraph structure. Okay, I would make sure you know what the acronym stands for. I would make sure you have answered that reflection question in the last video, and I would make sure that you have read these examples for in preparation for our quiz tomorrow. Those are the 3 things that I would try to remember. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye.